In my first month of keto and intermittent fasting, I lost more than double in both weight and body fat percentage than I did in month 2. Today, I'm gonna figure out why. Welcome to Get It Together, and if you're new here, this channel is just me trying to figure out how to get my life together and sharing the tips and lessons I learned along the way. And as you may have gathered from the intro, to really illustrate that point, I'm just going to toss up the numbers onto the screen now. From day 1, day 31, and day 60 of my 60-day challenge that I just finished. As you can see, I started with a starting weight of 190.6 pounds, and in 1 month I had lost 14 pounds, dropping to 176.6, but then in the second month I only dropped 5.6 pounds, bringing myself down to 171 even. Now when it came to body fat percentage, I started in day 1 at 27.1%. I lost 2.6% in month 1, bringing me down to 24.5%, and in month 2 I lost about half at 1.4%. bringing me down to 23.1%. Now, of course, the more fat you have to lose, the faster it's going to be at the beginning. But the fact that I lost 14 pounds in the first month, I really thought that my second month I'd lose 8, 9, maybe even 10 pounds. And candidly, just between me and you, 5.6 pounds in month 2 was a little bit of a disappointment. Now don't get me wrong, losing 5.6 pounds and 1.4% body fat in month 2 was by all measures something that I'm really thankful for. But at the same time, the motivation from losing 14 pounds in month 1 made me decide to become even stricter, where in month 1 I was on 2 meals a day in a 4-hour eating window and a 20-hour fast. And in month 2, I really strived to just have 1 meal a day. And even despite shrinking that eating window, I didn't see the results that I really was looking forward to. So I got to thinking, despite trying even harder, why didn't I lose anywhere near what I was hoping for? Now, like most videos in this channel, there are 3 sections to this one. But before I do that, I just have a random question. Is this okay? I'm in my 30s. Am I allowed to wear a hat backwards? Just do me a favor and vote yes or no right up here. But what are those 3 sections? Section 1 is defining what a plateau is. In other words, finding out, have you actually plateaued? Section 2, specifically with regards to keto and IF, is understanding that there is a difference between being in a state of ketosis and being in a state of fat-loss-ketosis. No, it sounds weird? Don't worry, I'm going to get into it. And section 3 are 3 strategies and tips that I'd recommend if you feel like you've hit a plateau. Let's dive into section 1, which is, are you sure you've even plateaued? Let's define what a plateau is. To be very clear, in no uncertain terms, my month 2 of 5.6 pounds compared to my month 1 of 14 pounds dropped is not a plateau. I still lost non-insignificant amount of weight and body fat percentage. So what exactly is a plateau? Well, after going down this research rabbit hole, it seems that the consensus of what a plateau is that after sustained losses for a few months, between 2 and 6 months of losses, you hit a wall for a month or more, you literally do not lose even 1 pound, despite continuing on strictly with the program that you were on before. This means that if in month 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, you are still losing at least 1 pound, you have not hit a plateau. You are still continuing to lose. Now, I welcome you to stay to the end of this video where I explain why a plateau is actually a good thing. But for now, let's move on to section 2, which is the difference between being in a state of ketosis and being in fat-loss-ketosis. Now, before explaining the difference, let's just do a really quick refresher on what ketosis is. Ketosis is just being in a state where, with a typical diet, where you're eating carbs and sugars, your body is using glucose as its source of fuel. But with the ketogenic diet, once you deprive the body of sugar and glucose, it has to use something else as fuel, and so it's using ketones, and ketones are made out of fat. This is the core promise of the ketogenic diet as a weight and fat loss mechanism. Now, being in a ketogenic state, being in ketosis is really quite a binary thing. It's one of those things where you're either in ketosis or you're not. This is why if you're not seeing results, it may be possible that your ingredients that you're using for your meals or the places that you're eating have a lot of hidden sugars in them. One of the best ways to know whether or not you're in ketosis is whether or not you're hungry and whether or not you have strong cravings. It's a smoke signal if you do have cravings and if you are hungry that you are not in fact in ketosis. This bleeds into a second point, which is that there's no such thing as doing keto halfway. Because ketosis is binary, you're either in it or you're not. One of the worst things that you can be doing is having a high-fat diet as prescribed by the ketogenic diet while also having more carbs than you should. But let's get into the real meat and potatoes. Maybe potatoes isn't a good word to use, but this whole second section is identifying the difference between the state of ketosis and the state of fat-loss-ketosis. What I mean by this is that if you're eating a lot of fat, you may be in a state of ketosis, but if you're eating too much fat, then the ketones that your body is producing is from the dietary fat and not from the actual fat that's stored in your body. And this right here bleeds right into section 3, which are 3 strategies that I would recommend for you if you feel that you're not getting the results that you're looking for. So the first strategy I'd recommend is to plan the crap out of your meals well in advance of even trying the program. Beyond that, it's to repeat the same few meals constantly and always being in control of your ingredients. If you're interested in my meals, I'll link the video right up here, and also in the description of that video as well as in this one below, there's a link to a Google spreadsheet where I have the complete breakdown of every single ingredient, the quantities, the macro breakdowns, and how they round out the macro profiles for each of these meals. The second strategy is to start perhaps gradually reducing the amount of dietary fat that you intake if you feel that you've hit a wall. This is just to say that in months 1 and months 2, for me, I might be in a state of ketosis, but if I hit a wall, it might be because as the months have continued, I've become fat adapted, which means that my body's instinct is to use ketones as a source of fuel. And so to potentially break through the barrier is to reduce the amount of fat. So I go deeper from ketosis into Fat-Loss-Ketosis, where I'm essentially forcing my body to use more and more of my body's fat stores as opposed to dietary fat to create the ketones to use as fuel. Now, this is a balancing act, and you have to be mentally prepared to potentially suffer for a day or two. This is because if you, let's say, for example, are like me and want to hit approximately 100 grams of fat per day, and then you decide to cut it down to, let's say, 80 grams of fat a day, that might not be enough to keep you satisfied, which means that for one day of experiment, you might be hungry. And so you'll know that you'll have to bump it up from 80 up to 90, for example. The whole summary of this point is to recommend that if you feel that you've hit a wall, it's definitely worth it, in my opinion, to start reducing the amount of dietary fat in an attempt to force your body to use its own fat stores to create the ketones as fuel. Now, this culminates into sort of the third strategy that is really vital. It's actually probably should be the first strategy, which is to track everything and track the important things. If you don't know the numbers, then you can't even experiment. You have to know the numbers so that you can create an experiment and then validate that experiment, which leads me to the perfect time to remind everyone that right now I'm on day 4 of a 30-day challenge where not only am I doing strictly 1 meal a day on the ketogenic diet, but I also have to do one of those 7-minute exercises each and every day. And this month is an experiment to see if doing strict OMAD combined with stacking a little tiny bit of exercise will accelerate results beyond that 5.6 pounds that I lost in month 2. Basically, every single day I have to post my 1 single ketogenic meal per day, as well as a clip of me exercising. And if I fail to do so, the first person that calls me out gets $300. Most people's instinct is to track only weight. And I'll link the video right up here, but weight is really the worst metric to be tracking. If you had to track only one metric, in my opinion, the most important one to track is body fat percentage. To me, the least resistance and quickest way to track body fat percentage is with a smart scale. If you're interested in researching the one I use, I'll link it in the description below. And I just love it because of how easy it is to use and how intuitive the app is. And finally, to close this out, if you have validated and you're in control of your ingredients and you know without a shadow of a doubt that you're doing the ketogenic diet properly, but you've hit a wall of progress, it's possible that you really have plateaued. But to me, this is actually a positive sign. I know it doesn't feel like it, but let me explain. A plateau is a set point recalibration by your body. The concept of a set point is that through our dietary and lifestyle habits, our body keeps recalibrating itself to a specific set point that it deems as right. Once our bodies get into a rhythm, it does not want to change, which means that if you're doing any kind of diet protocol and you're losing weight and you're losing fat, your body does not want that. And it's going to be fighting with you. And so if you've hit a plateau, it likely means that your body is giving its last-ditch effort to fight more change. You can try and use the strategies that I've discussed in this video to try and combat that. But even if you do and you're still hitting the plateau for 1, 2, maybe even 3 months, that should be a reminder to you to keep on pushing through because you are going to win this fight against your body's desire to not further lose weight and fat. Remember, the brick walls that we run into are not there to stop us. The brick walls are there to remind us about how badly we want it. If you got value out of this video, please do hit like and subscribe. And if you want to debate something or have any questions, hit up the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.